Hey, what's going on YouTube? Brian back with you. Rust and Beards is the name of the YouTube channel. Still working on the 66 F-100. Finishing up the Jaguar suspension install. Where we left off on the last video is couldn't plumb the brake lines. I was waiting on the steering linkage. Still waiting on the steering linkage, but we got to keep rolling these videos out. I don't want to roll a video out and produce something for the sake of just having it land, when the deadline hits. So I actually want to try to have some substance to these videos as best as I can. So with that said, we are going to kind of do some on and in things. The first thing that I'm going to tackle is the radiator. The distance between the radiator and the radiator fan is very close. So I'm going to get that on there, figure out what I can do to kind of move the radiator back closer to the grill. The other thing is when I put the suspension together for the Jaguar, got it, it's resting on all fours now. It doesn't really have much give. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. But I really anticipate now. I've always been told these Jaguar suspensions were stiff, sporty, right? They say like riding on rails whenever you turn and whatever. But I still would feel like there's some suspension give. I got a couple different theories. I don't think I'm on the bump stops. I did cut one round out of the coil, but that shouldn't have made me be riding on the bump stops. So my theory is my shock mount and how I built the shock mount, even though I built it with enough clearance, or so I thought, to where the tube of the shock mount wouldn't go up and hit between the mount itself. I'm questioning if maybe that's not happening. So I'm going to take a shock out, at least on one side, put the wheel back on, see if it bounces. If it doesn't, maybe it's just stiff. I can't really get a firm answer from other people who have done this swap. If you've done this swap before and you can look at the video and tell me like, yep, mine did the same thing, please comment below. Let me know. Give me a heads up. Otherwise, I'm going to beat my head against the wall and figure out what's going on with it. It could also be that the spring is just really worn out. And so when I cut the one round out of the coil, that combined with a really worn out spring, it might not be able to handle that. I don't think that's the case, but I don't know. So with that said, we're going to get on with the video. So let's do this. Okay, so I mentioned about the lack of suspension travel on this, so I was going to give you guys an example of what I'm talking about. Like, it's stiff. I'll even hop down on the bumper here just so you can get an idea. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. I don't know if this really isn't any lower than a lot of the people that do these suspensions. So I feel like maybe it's riding on that shock. So I'm going to take a look at that. First thing I'm going to do though is get on this radiator and see what we can do to offset or push that back into the grill a little bit more. So let's do that. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm talking about. You can see I've got the water pump pulley just setting on there. I can't even get the fan. I mean, if this thing was back like maybe an inch or two, I could probably get the fan on there. And if it were to ride right there, I mean, like we're talking, sheesh, very, very small amounts. So it's going to be close. Alternative would be to, not run the fan, just run the pulley and run electric fans. So I really don't want to do that just because that's more money out. And this thing is supposed to be a budget build. And I know every time people say that jinxes them to where the thing they're working on becomes not a budget build. So I don't know. We'll see what I can do. Okay, so to give you guys a heads up on I mentioned this in those other videos, but like what's really happening. If you look down right there, basically this piece right there where it jaunts out, there's a couple of inches right there that if I could set this back a little bit, I might be free and clear. I think it's on the other side too. You could definitely tell like down there where there's a space, and I think, yeah, it's hard to see. It's hard to get you guys down there. But yeah, you can kind of see there's a gap. So let me work on that and then kind of get you updated as we go. So I've had some people not comment on videos because I'm not there yet. But outside of the videos in real life, I've had people comment like, why would you want to change out the front suspension in that thing? Why don't you keep it all original? Why don't you, why are you ruining a perfectly good restored truck? And, this truck looks nice and I love this truck, but it's not a perfect restoration. This thing was, honestly, it was like this when I got it. So I have to believe that someone got it out of a field, quickly put some paint on there and sold it for a better price than what they bought it for. The reason is because there's things that are needed, right? Like, so I don't know if you can see the amount of rust that's down in there. So like those cab corner, or not, they're named cab corners, core support mounts are shot. I'm not going to do anything with them right now. Eventually I'll probably do a frame off restoration on this truck. This is just so I can enjoy it and have it be the way I want it to be for a while. On this side, it's even worse. Good news is it's going to be really easy to hammer that in to make clearance for that radiator. The bad news is this core support's being held up by prayers and dust. So just wanted to point that out. There's a lot about this truck that is good, so I'm not dogging this truck, and I know a lot of you northern guys will look at this and still be envious, and I get it. But there are some definite things that this thing needs work on. I'm just trying to get this back on the road so I can enjoy it. If it starts falling apart when I'm enjoying it, then I will address them then. And like I said, at one point I will do a frame off on this and document that once I get some more room and maybe some more money and a lift or tools, whatever, So I just wanted to document and be real with you guys as far as the condition of this thing. Yes, it's got a single stage paint job on the outside, and it's a 30-footer, like it looks pretty good until you get up close to it, and then you start seeing, scratches and things in the bumper, which that's what it's for. That's painted vehicles stress people out. I could drive this down the road and not worry about a rock chip here and there. Still baby it, but enjoy it. So just wanted to point that out. I'm going to start hammering away at that little area. I don't really want to cut into it if I don't have to. I might have to make a relief cut, but I'm going to try to hammer it first, just see if I could clearance it that way. I don't know if you can tell or not on this video. Let me see if I can get more light from the other angle. That is, as I say up north in Boston, wicked close. I don't know that it would hit like under flexing of, like said, engine or anything like that. And I might want to get a flex fan to, or not a flex fan, but a different type of cooling fan. This one, the truck was overheating considerably. But if you see this, you can see why. The whole thing is going to have to get flushed. I didn't flush it the last time. I just basically put coolant in there. I think I changed the thermostat. I did a water pump on it. But the radiator on that thing, I don't know why Ford did this for these little 6 cylinders, because I mean these things were workhorses and so they needed to be cooled. But basically this whole section from like here where it mounts to, I want to say like right here, was completely closed off. And so the radiator, the old factory radiator was like from here to here. Little, maybe 1 row, 2 row. I don't even know if they make 1 rows. I don't know. It was pathetic. This is a 4 row. It is a Chinesium one, but it had good reviews. So we'll see how it goes. Now, what I did is basically just hammered away a little bit, which it really didn't take much, and got this to where it's still off a little bit. I mean, it's still not super tight. The bolts aren't tight either. So yeah, so you can kind of see right there, the bolt needs to be tightened up. You can see the gap, but it'll cinch up. Now, here's the other thing. If something were to break loose on this engine, or if I've got to change a water pump, you know, I mean, maybe I couldn't do this with the factory radiator either. I don't know, but I'll have to take this radiator out simply because I can't get the bolts in between there and the water pump pulley. They're too long. So I'm gonna have to get those tight prior to putting the radiator in, but that's okay. So that's obviously I'm not going to tighten the radiator up just because of what I just said. I got to figure out my fan situation, and then that's the other thing I got to add that to the bucket list of parts. Is I got to get the lower and upper, or the upper radiator hose I got. Upper lower radiator hose I got to get I'm going to have to do snake it around and under. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Next steps is going to be take that wheel off. I'm really curious, like to the point where I can barely sleep at night, trying to figure out what in the world is going on. I'm only going to do one side, just you know, because if it doesn't make a difference, why am I going to have both wheels off? Or work smarter, not harder, or work lazier, not correct. I don't know. Good Lord. Why you gotta be so aggressive? This jack, I don't know if you guys can hear it. Even with no weight on there, it's just creaking. Definitely don't trust it. Okay, so what I'm wondering might be happening is when the shock right here comes up, they hit right there. I mean, I can see some evidence of that. Let me take you guys off. Well, here, well, no, I don't know. Oh, what am I doing here? What am I doing? Okay, hold on. Oh, yeah, start a YouTube channel. Easy. Yeah, it's take triple the time to do everything. Okay, I'm turning this light off. Spotlight time. Okay, let me zoom in. So, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking right there and right there. And you can see right here where it's bottoming out. So, what might be happening, which is going to be lovely, is if the shock, oh yeah, I could feel it right here on the shock. You can feel like little indentions where it's been hitting. The problem is the shock should not be getting that close to it. The shock that I got, I use this as or basically pulled this from another YouTuber, Russ Porter's Garage. And I believe the difference is on his vehicles, he never cuts a coil out of his shock. So the shock that I've got, I'm worried it's not for lowered, or I just can't believe that. I mean, because I've ran vehicles with one coil cut and still on factory shocks and been fine. I just don't get it. So I'm going to take the shock out, put it back on the ground, and see if the suspension then cycles. Because the other issue or concern or theory is that it's the bump stop. So the bump stop is, let's see if I can get you to, can you see down in there? I can't, can you? Okay, right there. Yeah, in between. So there's a bump stop in between. It's not one to really focus on it. And I feel like maybe it's hitting there too, because it's got this little grooved area right, or this area here that it hits on. I don't know. Here's my reservation with all of these theories. The height that this truck is at currently is not extreme. So in other words, I didn't do anything extreme that would cause the bump stops to be riding on, or for it to be riding on the bump stops. The shock, I get. If it was a miscalculation on my part simply because of using a shock that someone said would work on a factory height suspension, that's on me. I'll have to figure out what shock I can use based on the travel needed and so on and so forth. But if it's literally riding on bump stops because I cut one coil, there's a bigger problem. And what I mean by that is it's got such weak coil springs that, I don't know. I mean, maybe this car, the donor car, was riding on bump stops the whole time and I couldn't have known that. Who knows? All right, let me get this shock off here and we'll put the tire back on and see what happens. Man, even though the temperature's dropped and it's like only 90 degrees in here right now, it is humid. Okay, so I gotta jack this up just a smidge. Do you guys use the word skosh? I used to work with someone, they used to say, move it just a skosh. Is that a northern thing, or I've never even heard of that. I made fun of them for it, but maybe that's a thing. Okay, here's my biggest fear is that if this thing was held on by the shock and it's now going to be like an inch off the ground, and I'm going to just completely smash my fender, the bottom of my fender. I really hope that doesn't happen, especially as gentle as this thing lets down. All right, slowly, baby, slowly. It's not slowly. Okay, you're going slow now. Okay, that's a little too slow. Let me speed that up. So it's a little bit lower. I'm talking maybe, I don't know, inch maybe. Here comes the test. Not much better. I don't know if y'all could see that or not. This thing is riding on bump stops. It has to be. And I don't know why. Why would one coil out cause that? And you could, I don't know if you could tell or not. Maybe it's just the angle. It looks just slightly bit lower. So I think it definitely was holding up on the, oh, whoa, hey, how you doing? I think it was being held up. Spin around, round, round. I think it was being held up by the shock a little bit, maybe an inch. That's figure outable. I'm not digging the fact that it's on the bump stops. Why? I'm gonna have to do some research on that. I don't know. So it's, I don't tell me what time it is, can you? You tell me? It's getting kind of late. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this video up. Pick back up tomorrow. Maybe by then I'll have researched some answers to figure out why. Why? Why? I don't know. Really not liking that though. Okay. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. Okay, so still waiting on some parts in an effort to kind of keep this video going and keep momentum going. I'm going to try to work on the lighting in here. A while back I was gifted a fixture for LED light strip. I'm going to see if I could hook in to the existing wiring somehow, somewhere. I don't know. We're going to figure it out and see if I can maybe get some more light in here. I think that would really help these videos. So let's get to it. All right, so just like that, I've got light, or at least a little more light than I had. So these are LED. I don't remember the feet, whatever. I had to wire them in. They didn't come pre-wired or nothing like that. They were just the fixture. So I just cut an extension cord. That's why it's all drooped out over there, simply because if I ever want to move this around, I have the ability to move it a good ways away. So, all right, at least that's something. It's progress to the shop, which then will help with progress in the truck. So still need to get some more lights in that area. It's still real dead, but I'll probably just wait till I clean the shop out to do that, which means I got to get this bad boy running. Guys, so I don't know why I thought that outlet was switched, but it's not. So that's all great that I did the light, but I don't want to have to climb up every time I got to like plug and unplug the cord into the outlet there to turn the light on and off. So I went to Home Depot and bought a smart indoor plug. I'm going to plug this in, get it set up. Hopefully then that'll kind of wrap that little side project up. Other thing is we got steering components in, so we're going to get rocking and rolling on that. I'm going to bring you guys along for that. Okay, so just to recap what I'm trying to do. So this is the bottom U-joint. You can see it's going to go up. I'm going to cut probably to start like maybe right here, cut straight across. Okay, so I put a blue piece of tape. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but that's going to be my mark for knowing where to cut and how much to cut. Now that that's cut, we come down here, peel this tape off, make sure to burn your hand. Really good. All right. Okay, so what I want to do is attempt to mark a couple of things on this shaft, one of which is roughly how far up I need to go with the actual D shaft. So you can go a little farther up. So we'll just say like right there. And then the other thing, that didn't really work. So let me do it this way. I'm going to paint the hole underneath white. Let that dry. And then I'm going to come back with a Sharpie and then do the same thing, but just kind of reverse. While I choke to death. Okay, so you could barely see the black line right there on the shaft. I'm going to use that as kind of my guide. Nice. But what I'm going to try to do is ease into it. Grind that, using that line. And then the other black dot up there, it's kind of like the stopping point. So, I'm kind of measured, from, from like here to the base, and kind of measured like how far up I need to go. So we're going to ease into this. I don't want to obviously overdo it. It is figure outable. Everything is figure outable, but yeah, I just need to stop thinking about it and just do it. Okay, so now that I've got the top joint just slipped on there, I still have to go ahead and put my set screw on, but it's good and solid. I'm a little concerned about the angle. Let me get the light. Maybe you could see it better. So that's the distance. So what I'm going to do is cut my double D shaft, the big long 30-something inch, the one that I said earlier that I wanted to have it longer so I could have multiple chances to mess it up. So I'm going to try to cut it or do it from the base here to the base here and measure it. So that's what we're doing now. It helps to have it plugged in. So one of the first tools I think I'm going to buy is cordless angle grinders. I'm so tired of having all these cords. Look down at these cords that we got. It's like ridiculous. So I need to get in the 21st century the cordless stuff. So what I'm looking at here is how far in does the shaft go on that side to keep it from binding. If it goes too far, it'll hit on that other joint. And then of course I'm just having to feel down here how far in it goes. And it's almost to the base there. And it's almost to the base there. It could be a little bit more this way. But I wanted to do this because I also got to slide this up a little bit more. I wanted to do all this prior to like setting up all my set screws and everything. Just to make sure that everything is good. All right, so let me take a step back and look at it. All right, let me set my set screws temporarily and then try to cycle the steering. Okay, one thing I wanted to point out is, so when you turn the linkage is somewhat hooked up. So you turn the wheel, it works, but then if you listen, as I turn it back this way, just watch the steering wheel right here. If you turn it back, it's like it's binding up. So I wanted to take a look in here and see what's going on. See if I can get you in here. So what's happening, go turn the wheel.
Okay.
Like, you want to turn it much, turn it toward the driver's side.
Okay.
Go back the other way. Go the other way. Okay, back. Do it again. Back. Okay, keep doing that. So that joint is binding right there. So, okay, that's good. So what I'm thinking I could do to potentially remedy this, because basically what it is the angle in which this is going down is a little extreme. And I mean, I could go through and they sell different joints. It's like a 3, like it connects here and then it's got a joint and then it goes from there. I don't really want to do that if I don't have to. This is the exact reason why I bought enough rod to where I can make multiple cuts, is I might have to cut in higher, shave a little bit off of the shaft here, go higher with this, because I feel like right now it's like this, but if I go higher with it, then it might reduce the joint or the angle a little bit. That's why we do this. So I'll tear everything back apart. Luckily, the set screws are just kind of hand tight. They're not Loctited in there. Back to the drawing board. Obviously, once I get all this figured out, I got to take it all apart, tap and dimple, or not tap, really just drill and dimple my set screw holes. Okay, so that should probably be enough. Do I have one more up here? Nope. All right. So let me get you in closer, and then we'll see if it's popping still. Nope, still popping. I really thought that was going to be enough to do it. I mean, I didn't go up that high, but I don't know how much higher I can really go up on this. I didn't see where it was popping at. It is fairly maxed out there, though. Well, all right. So maybe I have to pause on this and order another joint. The good thing is I'll need this joint for projects. And the hard work's done, you know, grinding that out into a double D shaft. But you can also see why I wanted to get the steering done before I do the lines, because you know, we got the line goes out over on that side, you got the line that goes out over here at the front, and then the one in the back. I mean, and it's like directly in the path. So if I've got to like build any kind of like little bracket with a Heim joint or anything like that for a stabilizer, I need to identify that pretty quick. So let me do a little bit of research, and we'll pick up after I figure out what the heck I'm doing here. Okay, so I moved the joint up on the steering column, which then decreased the angle a little bit, or at least enough to where when I rotate, it's no longer popping and binding. So instead of the joint being like extreme like this, and so it kind of rolls on itself, it kind of leveled it out a little bit. So the next things I want to do is, so these are the set screws that go through the joint and then go into here. You want to dimple this shaft so where this will actually ride in the set screw. So what I've done is use my handy dandy little gauge here. This shows to be, of course, it's like an 8mm, which is equivalent to like a 5/16. So then I take and I find a drill bit that will fit that. And you never want to start with the, well, unless it's a small drill or small size that you're drilling. You never really want to start with the size because it could walk all over you. I'm going to start with a small one. I'm going to punch a guide hole in here, punch that in there. Again, this isn't going all the way. This is only going to go a very small amount. It's just enough so whenever you're screwing this down, it actually can catch into the metal and not just be on the surface of the metal. So let's get to it. Okay, so basically this is what you're left with. Let's see if I can get you in focus a little bit here. You kind of see it. So basically what's going to happen is this will fit right in there. So pretty easy. You kind of definitely pick it up on this one, where it's, you know, and then that just slides right in there. So it makes a more solid connection. So next is doing this on the vehicle, the shafts on the vehicle. And then we're gonna start putting this thing together. When these do go together, I am gonna go ahead and weld the top joint. Let me get it over here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I am gonna go ahead and weld the top joint right there, just to tack, just to make sure to keep it from moving. And then I have to drill into that top joint just a little bit, same as I did on the other. So I'll do that real quick and we should be able to rock and roll. Okay, so finally the steering is done. It only took about half a week. Of course, some of that was waiting for parts, but I'm confident in what I've done. No regrets. Let me show you kind of what I did do. So it's a typical double D shaft. I ground down that, made it into that's coming out of the steering column, the original steering column, made it into a double D shaft. And then I used a joint there, and then came down and used the joint there for the Jaguar front suspension or steering. I did have to cut because this joint was down further, which you guys already saw all that video, unless you just haven't been paying attention, in which case you really should, because you're missing stuff if you're not paying attention. Anyhow, this is like the third rendition because I had to cut it up further. That's as high as I could cut it. Of course, you can't hardly tell because I went ahead and put some paint on there. I did go ahead and throw some tack welds on it. Only reason I did that is because I took the round shaft and I, you know, shaved a little bit off each side to make it a double D shaft. Anytime you take structure or anytime you take substance away from like a steering shaft, I just, you know, I just felt more comfortable just kind of tacking it on there, as well as putting the set screws on there with the lock nuts. So on the steering shaft itself, and then on the rack and pinion down there, it is truly Loctited in with lock. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's an actual lock nut. The rest of these are Loctited in, and they just got regular nuts that were also Loctited, and then of course ugged. So steering is done. So next step is to go ahead and start working on the couple things. Actually, it's going to be the brake lines, as you can tell, you know, bringing those down, and then also I have this this return spring. This is for the clutch pedal. The original design, it hooks into the clutch pedal down there somewhere, and then there's a bolt that somewhere bolts to the frame. So I got to see if the steering shaft's going to interfere with that, if I've got to do some modification there. So rocking and rolling. After I get done with the brake lines, have I mentioned I still need a carburetor? Yeah, that's coming up next. But yeah, we're getting down to the final little things. So onto the brake lines. Let's go. So I've got the truck repositioned, kind of focusing on the brakes now. I went ahead and got it up, took the wheel and off there so I could get into the brake hose over there. This is going to be the hard side just because I got to try to finagle it, you know, from right there, right there, down, front side of the cross member underneath, and then go down and then hook it in. This side is going to be easier, potentially, It is well outside of um, the way of the steering linkage, and it's just going to go right there, go straight down, and then it's going to basically, it's dropping down right there, so I got to kind of jot it down and over. But yeah, so I'm going to do the easy side first, hopefully learn a little bit. Full disclosure, I suck at doing brakes, or doing the brake lines at least. And I say that, I mean, it's been many years since I've actually done brake lines. So I've always been able to avoid that part of the project one way or another. But there's no avoiding it on this one. I've got to do the 2 front sides and then the 1 back side. So just got to get going after it. Let me know if I'm messing up. You should yell at me or something. Raise your hand. I'll pause class and call on you, and you can let me know how I'm messing up. But whatever you do, don't wait till the video is over to let me know, because it might be too late at that point. All right, let's go. So I used the fabric ruler. Don't tell my wife. Basically, all I did, again, I'm not a hot rod builder or a custom hot rod guy. Well, I am, but I'm not a builder of one. I just enjoy them. I just play one on YouTube. So don't, take what I have or what I'm doing with a grain of salt. But basically, I kind of roughed it in with this, and then you just go in and you just wrap this around, and you just basically hold it with your thumb, and then you just keep on going around. So this plus the little extra that I'm kind of guessing on is roughly 50 inches. So then I cut 50 inches of bulk line right here. And then I'm using this little contraption that I got off the Amazons, and it straightens it out, which is kind of cool. There's smaller things, smaller devices that would allow this to do the same thing, but this was the cheapest thing that I found, and it's just 3/16. That's the size that I'm using. So if you're going to use like 1/4 inch line or anything else, obviously you'd have to get a different one. I think they do make some of these that are like multi-size, but I don't know. So now that that's all straight, I'm going to go and start attempting to bend it. So this is the point where I'm going to shut up. You're going to go on fast forward, or what is it, time lapse, make me look like the Flash, and yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so full disclosure, I had to redo the flare on this twice. Make sure you have the fitting on here before you flare it. That's a big, important thing to remember. So I've got it mounted. Now I'm in the process of making whatever bends I need to make it land where it needs to land. Obviously, I still have to take it back off, flare the other side. The other side takes these the nut sides, or I guess they're just 3/16 by 10 millimeter nut. That's what goes onto the Jaguar hose. So let me do that, and then hopefully at least I get this side done, and then we can move on to the next. You got it plugged in right there. It goes down, and then on the inside it comes down there, and then it attaches right there. I'll probably put a clip here. I'm going to push down on this. It'll expand those coils out, and I might try to clip it somewhere there. It's just finger tight right now. Hopefully it doesn't leak. that's going to be the next big thing. Is I got to get the other side made, get the back made, fill this thing full of fluid, start bleeding the brakes, and say some prayers that it doesn't leak. So all in all, not too shabby. Starting on the other side, I don't know if you can see or make it out, but so I'm going to use the same down tube template as the other front side, but I've got all of that because what I would like to do is literally take it down, go to the front of the cross member, drop it down, and then go up back and back over. If I don't have enough tubing to do that, then I might, well, I won't have a choice. I'll have to just go on the back side. The only reason I didn't want to do that is I was trying to keep it away from the steering. I didn't want to put it below the rack and pinion, and it didn't make sense to go above the rack and pinion, but I might have to. It would be easier. So I'm going to see lay of the land here. Obviously, as you can tell, there's a lot of bend. The other obstacle is once I get this whole single piece bent up, would I be able to snake it in place, like around the engine, the motor mount or engine mounts and steering linkage and all of that. As you can tell, my mind's not 100% made up that I want to go this route. But first things first, I want to measure it out and just kind of see what we're up against, because that might actually make my decision for me. Okay, so we're at 38.5 here. This plus 45. Plus 33. All right, that comes out to like 116. So that's obviously not going to work. I don't have that much tube. That's why we marked this thing up with the wire here. So what I am going to end up doing, I'm going to probably take this piece because it's the straightest piece. I'm going to straighten it back out as best as I can. I'm pretty much running out of these too, so it's hard to find metal clothes hangers, especially if you don't just use them. We don't. We usually use the plastic ones. I think the majority of people probably do. Maybe we're the minority. I don't know. What do you use? If I wasn't married, I probably wouldn't use hangers at all, to be honest with you. I'd probably just, I don't know. I'd live like a slob, I'm sure of it. So if my wife is watching this, thank you. All right, so I'm going to get under there and reposition all of this. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and before I do that, I'm going to straighten this one up. But you guys don't need to be along for this. I'll come back to you as soon as I have something figured out. So 107 inches. Using the backside from the master cylinder to that other side, other wheel. So this stuff's always very awkward to me because I'm so afraid I'm gonna like kink it, and I don't even know if I'm gonna have enough or not. But at this point, I gotta just run with it, and then if I have to get more, I will. The next challenge, which I'm not looking forward to, is how, once I get this built out, am I going to get this? I think if I, okay, let me complete a thought, right? I mean, come on, Brian. Get it down under the mat, or from the master cylinder, this side of the rack and pinion, but this side of the motor mount, and then down. Should be able to go straight in and just kind of weave it in. I'm going to be optimistic and say that's going to be the best path. I ain't gonna lie, this got kind of fun, this part of it. Everything else about doing brakes, no, not fun at all. I don't know. I feel like maybe I could get used to it if I did it enough. I think for me, the biggest thing is just not having the confidence. But if I'm being completely honest, that's this whole thing. Part of what this channel is about is me doing new things or things that I've not done before, or more likely things that I've maybe done once or twice, but not like a bunch. And through my getting confidence, the hope is that it will instill confidence in those of you who are watching that are just simply flat out afraid to try any of it because you're stuck in the what ifs. All right, let me get my fittings and everything all set up and start bending. Okay, so I had to cut this line, this one here. So I cut it because you can see how I got to snake it down. I try to go through the whole. So I basically cut it right there. So this will set in there just like that. So I have to do a couple of male fittings. Gotta do one right there, which is already in the master cylinder. So I have to get it out. Then I got to do the one right here. Then I bought a couple of these unions that I could. So I got to do two fittings on the other line, the one that's still down there right there, then the one that it goes in, and then this one, and then that side. And then I have two of these, one that'll go down there, and then the other one. So here, I'll tell you what, I'll just show you. Hold on. Okay. So what I'm attempting to show you, there it is. Hey, buddy. Well, it's not very focused, really, not from my point of view. So you can see the line right there going into the back, or I guess it'd be going to the back. I have to work on getting that out. I got to take that block out. So then I got to use that other union that I was talking about, and it's going to go in there. And then I got to build basically a new line that goes up. I hope that kind of makes sense. So I got to work on getting that off. Hopefully I don't break that line. If I have to re-flare it, then I will. I'm trying to do as less amount of work as possible. So let's do this. Okay, so last night when I was finishing up for the evening, I noticed that one thing I didn't have to turn off. Normally I have to go through the routine of turning my fan off, turning that fan off, turning that light off, unplugging my AC, shutting the door down. And yes, I still have to run AC right now in September because it's like 90, mid 90s. Right now in the shop or in the garage, it's like still 95 degrees and it's almost 8 o'clock at night. Zero circulation. I've opened the door. So, but it dawned on me like, my AC is not going. Well, check this out. Yeah, that would be why it's not going. My AC is dunzo, which, I mean, yeah, it did not like something. I don't know if internally something melted. Like I can't even like reset this. The other side, as near as I could tell, of that extension cord is fine. So I don't know that it was a amperage draw coming from the plug there. I think it was, which maybe it wouldn't be seen on that side. Maybe it'd be seen on the load side. I don't know. I'm not a certified electrician. I just pretend like I know what I'm doing. But one thing I do know is my AC is not working, and I'm not going to plug that back in, even if I could plug it back in. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do other than just kind of sweat it out and just man up and let it be what it's going to be. Eventually, I'd like to get maybe a mini split system in here. There's a beautiful spot right there on the wall that I could put it if I eventually get the money to do so. Honestly, we don't want to be in this house any longer than a couple of years, if at all possible. I'd love to find an acre of land or even a couple acres. That way I can have some elbow room, find projects, buy a project, put them on that land and work on them and do stuff. So I don't know that I really want to invest in a mini split. But for 2 years worth of working in the heat, maybe, I don't know. If you have any mini splits, let me know let me know about them. I know that they cool, obviously, but I'm thinking they also are a heat source as well, like an electric heater. So I don't know how efficient that is. It gets really hot in Texas, but it doesn't normally get super cold in Texas. So it kind of works out in my favor, at least on the winter side. So needless to say, I'm wearing shorts today. We're going to keep rocking and rolling. Hopefully we'll be able to wrap up the brakes and start working on getting them bled and then calling that chapter done. Let's do it. Okay, so I had to, the spot there where I showed you that junction box, I ended up having to cut it, just cut the tube. I tried using my crappy, cheap Harbor Freight tool, and that, because it's steel line, even no matter how tight I try to clamp that down with those little butterfly nuts, not having it in the vise was pretty detrimental. I couldn't like get a good enough hold on it. So needless to say, it kept slipping. So that kind of forced me to buy this guy, which I'll do a separate video on this. You guys don't know. I know there's a lot of other YouTubers that use this, but it's a Capri tool. Really good quality. This one's for a 3/16 line, but it's a double flaring tool, and it could be done. You could unscrew the handle, put it on a vise, some sort of way. I think you have to get a different base, maybe make a base. I don't know. I think this is like their cheapest generic set that they offer. You could get all kinds of different stuff from them. But the cool thing is, like I said, I could literally go down under the truck and do a double flare on a line if I need to, which I do need to now. But I'm going to go ahead and knock this line out. This is the line going down. This is for the front still for that side. So I'm going to go ahead and knock these two out. So I got to do the fitting on this side, and then I got to pull the line from that side, do the fittings, and then go from there. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the back one. So with that said, we've got a lot to do. Let's get to it. Okay, so I'd say this is the moment of truth, but it really isn't. The moment of truth is going to be when we actually put fluid in there. Let's see, I want to go on this. No, I want to go, come on now, like this, maybe. Oh, come on. Nope. There we go. I'm going to have to go through and tighten all these fittings before I actually introduce fluid into it. Yeah, check that out. I just lost some of my lubricant. Did y'all see that? I can't do anything. I can't have anything nice. All right. Done scuffed up my shirt. All right. Okay, so fronts are done, barring any leaks. So you got them on both sides. I do have to kind of manipulate that where it goes down right there. The emergency brake cable, I got to just kind of bend it in and bend it around. But you can kind of see it goes down on that side. And then it goes, it's like, well, you can kind of, come on, like, get up with me. Cooperate. Anyways, trust me, it's down there. And then it comes up and then into the frame right there. And then on this side, it's simply just goes straight down, jogs, and you can see where it just jumps right in to that. So we're going to do the back next. That's hopefully what I'm going to try to do is scooch down about halfway, maybe under the driver's seat area, cut it there. I've only got this much tubing left, so I'm gonna go ahead and bend my coil. Oh, there we go. Bend my coil in there, and then see how far that'll reach, and that'll pretty much dictate where I'm going to splice that in. The old system for the rear was right there. You can see where it mounted to the old master cylinder. Actually, this is not even just for the rear. This is for all brakes, because I forgot it was a single pot. So it mounted up there, and then right there, which I showed you guys earlier, or I don't know, just a little bit earlier in the video, where that gets separated out. So, all right, that's next. So got the back done. That was a little bit of a pain. I still have to go through, I got to get some keepers to attach all this down to the frame. You can kind of see, so on the top side, obviously, I hate the way that it goes from the back. Very, very tight, goes down, goes around the, what's it kind of called? What do they call that? The Z-bar. And you could see where it kind of jaunts in a little bit for the fuel line, right there. So that it's rubbing right now, but I'm gonna secure it, get some screw in, tack screws, and some loops with some like rubber insulation to secure it. But it's all on there. Not really loving that combination valve. Also, I had to get another part. It should be arriving tomorrow. But so this combination valve, normally they have a, like right about here, they've got like a bleed screw, or not a bleed screw, I'm sorry, but like a manual release where you can like grab it with pliers and hold it out. Sometimes some of them got little like a device, almost like a screwdriver, double bladed, that you can slide it up in there and it catches it and it keeps the valve in there, because this is basically ran on pressure. So there's a little rod in there that if the pressure goes one way or another out of balance or unequal, then it will flip the switch. So what I had to do, and it should be coming tomorrow, but it's called a brake centering tool, and I'll show you tomorrow. But when I go and bleed the system, so when I put the fluid in there, I'm going to crack the lines, go ahead and bench bleed the reservoir as best as I can, not taking these completely off because they are a pain in the butt. But then I have to take that off, put a tool in there that centers it. That way it keeps it from going one side or the other. So when I start doing the vacuum bleeding down at the wheels, it will actually suck it out. I don't know. I may show you that part of it, but I don't know that I'm going to show you bleeding the brakes. I feel like every YouTube automotive channel shows how to bleed brakes. So I don't know. This is, eventually, hopefully I can get some input from people, channels, and people will actually comment and tell me a little bit more about what they want to see, what they don't like that I'm doing, if I'm rambling too much, if I'm not talking enough, if I'm not showing enough. But anyways, so I will go ahead and cut in tomorrow, probably at some point, either after I'm bleeding it or during the process. I just don't know if I'm going to go like a step-by-step. So that's a tomorrow deal. It's dark outside, so we'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off now. I just got done editing the majority of the video, and I'm just going to do this little outro. This is the longest video that I've done to date. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. I think it's like close to 1:17, or I'm sorry, 1 hour 17 minutes. We got a lot done. I mean, we did all the steering as far as the steering linkage. I did all of the brake stuff. Next up is going to be probably either carburetor. I'm at the point where I'm going to start kind of putting the rest of the truck together. I've got a buddy that's got a gas tank that he's going to sell me. I got to go get that hopefully in the next week or so. I just got to coordinate with him. Got to put the seat back in. Carburetor is going to go on. I still have to get the carburetor coming in. The lower hose, like I mentioned in this video, I think it's a little different just because of the radiator I'm using. I did mention the bleeding of the brakes, and I am going to try to do a separate video, maybe release it next week or middle of the upcoming week, that just goes over the bleeding of the brakes. I still have to kind of button up some of the lines when it comes to like the keepers. This is the brake tool. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. It's a centering tool for the brake combination valve because this one didn't have the button or the little piece to automatically do it. That's okay. So, but that's you're not missing anything. I mean, there's going to be I don't know, hundreds of videos online about how to bleed brakes, and I'm going to go ahead and video the process that I have, just because I do kind of anticipate having some issues. So I might as well capture that and let that be a lesson learned. I'm not 100% sure that all my flaring was done well. I haven't flared in a long time on the double flaring of the lines. Hopefully everything's good. I don't wish it to happen, but I'm trying to be realistic. So, all right, that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. Please consider liking, subscribing, hit the little bell notification button. Give me feedback on these videos. I'm new to this, so I'm constantly learning. So I'm hoping that with each video, I get some feedback from you guys, and then we kind of grow, or at least I grow the channel into what it needs to be to make it entertaining and educational. More entertaining, probably less educational, but all right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you later.